Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we are finally going to be talking about the newest album from Shakira called El Dorado. Well, this is awkward, and I think an explanation is owed why I'm covering this months after it was released. Because given how many times I have said that I am a Shakira fan, you would think that I would have been on top of this, and yet I've been pretty reticent about reviewing El Dorado, and here's why. I don't speak Spanish. I know maybe a couple of words, I can maybe follow the general gist of it if I try, but I've got a hard enough time understanding French, and I'm Canadian. And thus, when I discovered that Shakira's newest record had only a couple English songs on it, I just did not have the same interest, because one of the reasons that I like Shakira's songwriting is that her phrasing of English feels distinct and a little bit off-kilter in kind of a cool way. If I wasn't gonna get that, and given that I was generally pretty underwhelmed and disappointed by the lead-off singles, I just did not have the same interest in this album. And it's not even that I'm averse to covering music in a different language. I've covered black metal that's not in English, although you could definitely make the argument that lyrics are generally peripheral when it comes to that genre in comparison with like pop, but that's a different matter. But as I've said in the past, I connect best to music when I can follow or understand the arc of the lyrics in the songs. And I was concerned about that with El Dorado, especially considering that Shakira herself admitted some uncertainty and writer's block going into the project. So yeah, this might turn out to be a pretty short review, but hey, my patrons did laboriously vote to get this to the top of my schedule. I gotta respect that. So, okay, how did this turn out? Well, I'm not gonna mince words here, guys. After my first 2 or 3 listens through this album, the most prominent emotion I felt was disappointment, because El Dorado is definitely not Shakira at her best. She said that she had writer's block going into this album, and man, I believe it. Because if you're going to expect the sort of firepower or intensity that used to characterize her best work in the 2000s, you're not gonna get that. Now, that's not precisely saying that Shakira is just going through the motions here, because after a few more listens, I did warm up to a couple of tracks. This is not a terrible record, but there is a reason that outside of some die-hard fans and a couple of singles that I've already talked about on Billboard Breakdown, nobody's really talking about this record critically right now, months later, and that's kind of a problem. Now, you know what? To Shakira's credit, the singles are by far some of the weakest songs here, and most of the issue does come in the production. The squawking chipmunk sound in Chantage with Maluma, the glitchy mess that was Me Enamore, the stiffness behind the otherwise kind of likable La Bicicleta, which, for the record, was first released as a single nearly a year before the album dropped, and that's before we get songs like Trap on this album, with gratuitous autotune all over Maluma's voice as he croons opposite Shakira, trying to sell a song with the desaturated plinking tones, the leaden bass, and the hi-hats that you would expect in modern trap production. It was at this point of the record I was asking who the hell thought this was a good idea, and then out of nowhere, we get this strident electric guitar tone that the mix then tries to drown out, probably for being the best damn part of the song. And you know what? This goes back to something that I've been saying about Shakira for years now. Organic, melodic grooves with real momentum behind them. They do wonders for her voice, and they really fit her delivery. And when you pair her with stiff, glitchy percussion, a lot of drum machines, she just sounds lost against it. And I can't really blame her for that. Take the blocky knockoff Comme Moi, completely overpowering the drippy blur of the guitar, a song that appears twice on the standard issue of this album, with one set of lyrics from French rapper Black M, and the other from the Canadian reggae one-hit wonders Magic. You remember them? And the scary thing is that Magic, they might actually be more tolerable here. I just did not like Black M's voice. Or take Père Fiel, which brings in a little bit more elegant strings backdrop before the blubbery knock of the drum machine comes up. And despite Shakira having some pretty decent chemistry with Nicky Jam, let's be honest, she has chemistry with mostly everybody, she can only do so much with production that feels this stiff. Now, thankfully there are some exceptions, but this drags up to the issue of track sequencing. Nada might be a pretty elegant power ballad with the elegant strumming and the pretty bombastic hook that I like, but why is the second song of El Dorado? I have no idea, especially placed right before Chantage. Now, granted, there are songs that manage to balance out that heavier percussion line with real organic melodies. Amarillo has one of those better hooks, and it's got some strong groove to it. Coconut Tree has some pretty chill, languid guitar lines, even if the main drum machine feels, again, entirely too stiff. And there is some actual warmth to the Spanish guitar interplay with Prince Royce on Deja Vu, which I discovered was actually previously released on Prince Royce's last album. But you know what? This takes us to Alta Shakira herself, and you know what, look, she is a beautiful singer, and she's perfectly capable of playing to more softer, crooning tones. She's got a natural expressiveness that's plenty convincing. I like her voice. But when you realize that she's not bringing anything close to the belting power that has anchored her biggest and best songs, it's hard not to feel like there's something just kind of missing here, especially when a lot of this production seems to be expecting Shakira to deliver more presence and it's just not coming. But I suspect some of this runs deeper, and that takes us to a lot of her songwriting. Now, okay, keep this in mind, there's a big asterisk hanging over all this given that I'm relying on translations that will probably miss some of the nuance of the original Spanish. But I can't be the only one who finds that Shakira a lot more subdued and borderline submissive in her writing on this project, right? Sure, there are songs like Trap and Chantaje where she's taking a little bit more agency in the situation, but then you get the self-flagellation of Nada and When a Woman or Deja Vu, or how Comme Moi is so bluntly pessimistic, or how the love songs that she has here, they feel so soft and lacking any sort of real presence. I mean, it's a tone that Shakira can mostly sell, but I'm not sure it flatters her as a singer or as a songwriter. And speaking of the latter category, Shakira's tendency for weirder turns of phrase, it's back in spades regardless of language, with Parafiel presenting Nicky Jam as no joke, like a faithful dog, and Amarillo's using an extended rainbow metaphor for all the colors of her love for her husband, a relationship that also shows up on Coconut Tree and Toneladas. But that might be at the root of the problem. Not only are the love songs, they're not bad, but there isn't a real sense of drama that drives any of the other songs here. I find myself looking for the conflict or intensity that used to be one of Shakira's biggest draws as a performer, and yet it's just not here in the way that it used to be, which can make a record like this feel, honestly, a little bit uninspired. I hate to say it, but it's true. And really, the more that I think about this album, the more it feels less like a project that Shakira really felt passionate about that she wanted to make, and more like something the label wanted to package for an ever-growing in popularity Latin music market in the United States. And this came out before Despacito ruled the summer. And if you're a diehard Shakira fan, I'm sure this will hold you over. You're probably annoyed that it took this long to get to the review. But I have to be honest and say, I just did not find this all that interesting or compelling. The production choices are by the numbers when they aren't just very poorly considered. The writing was passable, but kind of beneath her best, and Shakira just did not sound all that engaged as a singer here. Now, granted, her natural charisma is still enough that nudges up to a very strong 5 out of 10, but if this is passable, it's only barely in that territory. Hate to say it, but unless you're a diehard fan and you can appreciate the Spanish more than I can, or Spanish is your native tongue, I don't think you're gonna get a lot out of this. Sorry. So yeah, a bit of a quick review, but I got to the top of my schedule, figured I'd say something about it, and I'm just sorry this didn't work more for me. If you want to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. If you want to leave all your angry comments, the poll's up there. I know you guys probably enjoyed this more than I did. And if you want to buy the album, hey, links in the description below. It already came out, but hey, I'm sure a bunch of you already have it, but you want to get it, there's an opportunity. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you guys want to get involved in my schedule and support some of this channel so reviews like this come out earlier, link to my Patreon is right over there, where 3 times a week you guys get to vote on my schedule, and once a week for the higher tier contributors, you get to add records, movies, or even a top 10 list to that schedule. A lot more details right over there, but till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.